Pyro, I don't want to alarm you, but the gas passer now combos with the Neon Annihilator! Well, it took them long enough, but summer is here, and with it came a plethora of minor community bug fixes, 10 new maps, all-around great cosmetics, and the first weapon rebalance in almost 7 years. The gas passer now marks enemies coated in gas as being wet, just like Mad Milk, Girardi, and water. Which means you can now almost insta-kill most classes as Pyro with the Neon Annihilator. Pyro Sharks rejoice! The old extinguisher has been resurrected, hollow be its name. My tinfoil hat theory, if you'll allow me to put it on, is that this is actually a balance change, a real one, disguised as a bug fix, so that Valve doesn't, trigger our expectations for, actual balance changes, because, come on, why change it after so long and not when it initially came out? Besides the new stuff, I'm happy to report that TF2 has been bot-free for just about 5 weeks now. Valve has proven that when they actually commit to ban waves, they're quite good at it, even doing what they should have done from day one, which was take legal action against bot hosters, and take down the AI used to create and maintain them. Sure, the fixed TF2 movement might have had something to do with it, but also, hey, it might not have. But does that actually matter? Who cares? We got what we wanted. Whether or not it actually had a hand in Valve's actions isn't really important when we can finally play the game for once. The only reason everyone gave the bot so much attention in the first place is because they were this all-consuming, totally annoying thing that you couldn't escape from. But now they're gone, so we can go back to just focusing on the game. I said a long time ago that I would prefer if Valve just banned all the bots with no big fanfare, and that seems to be what's happened. Pretty much 6 weeks in and still no bots. I've struggled to find bots on even the most scarcely populated maps, and it seems like it doesn't even matter what time of day you play on. Want to play Fastlane at 2 AM on a Tuesday? Your wish has been granted, no more waiting around for prime time. While it remains to be seen how consistently Valve will handle the situation, I'd say launching this update after what they did was the smart choice. If they had continued to ignore us and launched the update anyway, people would have had the full legal right to complain, boycott the game, and not spend any money on anything whatsoever. That, and the talented mapmakers' hard work would have completely gone to waste. And while I still think you probably shouldn't spend any money on this update until you know this is like a permanent thing, I would say to remain cautiously optimistic and only buy something if you really think you need to. With the bots having ruined the last 3 years worth of holiday updates, something I was very vocal about in the past, it's great to say that not only have I been enjoying myself, even friends of mine who were forced to quit playing have returned and are having the time of their lives with the game they love. I still maintain that TF2 as a game is as perfectly playable and balanced as it could be and as it has been in a very long time. And now with the bots gone and with less things to complain about, I hope everyone else would see that too. I'd be very happy if this was a full-on no bots ever again kind of situation, but I get the feeling that it could still happen sometime in the future, but it's hard to tell. I just really hope not. Honestly, it's a really good thing that these bot purges were so precise, with bot hosters themselves being targeted and new accounts being banned almost as quickly as they're being made. Because if we didn't get this, then I'm afraid the TF2 Reddit would have continued their never-ending downward spiral into Omegatronic gay porn. Anyway, we have maps to talk about, so let's get to those.
A pleasure making your acquaintance. I'm Applejack.
Applejack is a very lovely fall-themed capture the flag map that reminds me a lot of Harvest. In fact, you could call this map Harvest 2 if they opened up the shed in the middle of the map and just put a control point there. Kind of like how they would convert maps like Sawmill and Badlands and Nucleus into different game modes. I could see the same thing happening to Applejack. I'd argue that this would probably make a better King of the Hill map than a Capture the Flag map, as every game I played that wasn't friendly was dominated mainly by roaming gangs of scouts and turtling NGs. The true mark of a new map. If I can jump ahead here, I think all the maps released in this update range from pretty good to just straight out fantastic. Applejack's probably B tier, Megaton is definitely A tier, and here's all the rest. It is a wonderfully made, gorgeous Capture the Flag map, and I think it stands up there with the likes of Landfall and Double Cross. Yeah, your enjoyment might hinge on how much you generally enjoy Capture the Flag, but it's perfectly playable. Quite a fun little map. However, I am wondering, what happened to the stairs on Blue Team? You guys know how much I love player destruction, and while it's no pit of death, I loved Monster Bash when it was initially added. To get a non-spooky restricted version is a total blessing, and while I may still have my reservations about some of its more choky interior areas and small rooms, and I think that the spells kind of add a lot to this map, and when you take those away, you kind of see that it is a lot of small rooms kind of glued together with the main central area. So while I think the spells do add a lot to that and kind of carry the map, having a normal version that we can play all year round, I think that's just a good thing in general, gripes aside. The map itself has been given a Black Mesa-esque facelift, complete with a unique Dr. Kleiner sound-alike, with voice acting provided by the talented Mike Hillard of Black Mesa fame. You can't get much closer to Dr. Kleiner than that, folks.
No need to worry about us, Gordon. Eli and I have everything under control. My, you're a cute little thing, aren't you?
Rocket jumping is strictly prohibited outside of staff dormitories. Remember, if you've spotted an OSHA violation in the workplace, no, you didn't. Exposure to irradiated Australium is perfectly safe. Any itching you may feel in your bones is entirely normal.
The map is full of little Easter eggs, and I seriously dig the vibes here. It really harkens back to TF2's early map design with a secret base theme. I really hope that with us getting more and more non-holiday restricted player destruction maps, we can finally free it from the alt game modes tab and have it take its rightful place as a main game mode. Hey, if they can take Probed and Two Fort Invasion out of the MISC map hell and put them in the main map pool, then we can do the same for Watergate and even Pit of Death.
We are on the island of Guarma, second island east of Cuba.
Casha is a King of the Hill map that would have really fit Jungle Inferno. In fact, I think it's a shame Valve jumped the gun with their jungle-themed update, given that a lot of the maps in this update are pulled from the community-created Tropic Crisis update. A lot of these feel officially made, and some of them even play better than the one and only official map that we actually got from Jungle Inferno. Casha has some minorly confusing spawn points. I really don't know why the main doors spit you out in the opposite direction of the control point. I've seen players go the wrong way almost every time I play. I really think the spawn should be moved to avoid confusion. The map itself plays perfectly fine. There's nothing really about it that pisses me off. The sniper sightlines aren't nearly as bad as they are with other community maps we've gotten. And while there are some cheeky spots that can be downright annoying, there's nothing that's worth getting angry over. I like the helicopter next to the point, a fun way for ammo packs to be a diegetic part of the map. And yes, the helicopter blades do kill you if you touch them, which of course a lot of players had to try.
Hey, do these helicopter blades kill you? Oh my god! Oh shit! The helicopter blades get bloody!
Although I do wish that when you won the round, the helicopter would like take off or something like that. As if the mercs are fighting over securing the landing pad so an important figure can safely arrive in their chopper. But hey, I'm just speaking out loud here.
These are the stakes. We must either love each other or we must die.
Megaton is a new King of the Hill map where you fight over who gets to nuke the entire area. It's a beautiful map with awesome looking water. The sniper sightlines can be kinda crazy here given how wide open it is, but I don't think that actually stops it from being well made. It's a very small, compact map, very similar to Harvest. I'd say it's just about as open as Harvest is, so if you can avoid it there, you can avoid it here. The bomb going off when the round is over is just the icing on the cake, really, and it was a massive surprise when I first played it. I kind of thought it would be like how on CP Steel, the rocket only goes off when red wins, but nope, we get mutually assured destruction here. In my continuous efforts to atone for making this video, I've been getting more involved in the community mapping scene, and as a result, I am privileged enough to be in contact with some of the creators of this map, including the one, the only, legendary Diva Dan, the designer of the bomb. So, how about we get the inside scoop?
Hello.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to my tens of viewers.
Hello, I am a workshop artist that does stuff for a lot of different video games on Steam. Mainly TF2. I do lots of stuff in TF2. I do hats, lots of unusual effects, war paints, but most importantly I do maps. That's my main export. Lots and lots of maps. I have a credit on 26 official maps in the game, which would be the highest if it weren't for Void, which is the creator of Megaton. It's a lot of random little stuff, like someone who used like a tree model I used here and there, like some textures. Maps that I've like actually done myself, I think I have 4 of those in the game, yeah. Brew, Hacksaw, Halloween Hacksaw, and then Murky. Oh, I should mention I made a Zombie Infection that game mode last year.
With Megaton, when did you first get involved?
Oh, that's a good question. So I wasn't involved with the map from the start. I had helped playtest it, but it was playtested in a few different servers. But I had already collaborated with Void before in 2018 on Monster Bash, and so just being friends after that, he's always in touch with me. Void really wanted to have a big explosion at the end of Megaton, but didn't have time to fit it into the workshop upload. So when the emails went out and Eric Smith at Valve says, you have like 4 or 5 days to finish your map and send it to us to be included in the game, he was like, I can't do this myself. I need help. Any reasonable person would need help for that. And so he went to me because my experience on different accepted maps I had, especially Bonesaw, lots of fire effects and lots of particles in that one. So he's like, you seem like a good explosion guy. Let's get you in there to make an explosion for the map. From the very beginning, Void has this really cool sketch of the map where it almost looks one of one how it looks now. Just this real simple digital pencil drawing of the entire map. And from the start, the theme of the map was that it was going to be a nuclear test site on an island. So from the very beginning, it's always had that payload bomb dangling from the top of it. That's been a core theme since the start. Beyond the explosion, the only things I would have done is like, oh, there's one thing I did. I did a bit of VScript work for the humiliation sequence on the map is a little bit longer than normal. I think 5 seconds longer. I did a bit of VScript for that, but that's it.
I'm dying to know because I love the intricacies of map making. Is the bomb explosion an actual model that gets put onto the center of the map right there, or is this achieved with like skybox trickery, the same way the rocket launch in Canaveral is?
The model for the explosion is fully within the gameplay space. It's not a projection or skybox trick. The model is just big enough, the mushroom cloud. It is, after the first explosion, there's a big fade to white. And that fade to white hides the model being plopped right into the center of the map, with the cloud being just big enough to cover the test site tower in the center. The whole stalk of the mushroom cloud, so to say, covers it up perfectly. And it's just instantly plopped right in. And then it triggers an animation beginning that causes the cloud to grow up into the air. And yeah, there's not too much trickery. It's actually pretty straightforward.
Wow, that's actually pretty impressive. To think that's a clever workaround for spawning in the model itself.
Yeah, that was Void's idea. He gave me a very rough little concept that showed like, make the explosion just big enough that you don't have to do a destruction sequence. You don't have to disable the whole middle tower because it'll make the lighting look bad and stuff like that. All this technical mumbo jumbo. Just make it so the cloud is big enough just to cover the tower, and that's exactly how it ends up working in game.
Along with this custom kill icon that you made for when everyone is killed by the bomb.
A small sneak peek. I think that'll end up being. He wants to send an update to Valve either tonight or like in the next few days. He's doing a big optimization pass on the map. Lots of new tech coming out from the likes of Ficool, doing stuff in Hammer. Lets you like merge props, make stuff render more efficiently. He's trying to fix some frames up, and alongside that, it'll have the kill icon.
This one is from my brother. His name is Greg, and he asks me, why did you guys let the engineers build underwater? And that's actually something I asked you myself earlier.
That is true, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Void would know best, but Void has a history of aggressive no builds on maps. Koth Slasher, a Halloween map from 2018.
He made Slasher.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's a really cool map he did. Lots of roofs on that map are no build, and he got a lot of complaints about those. So I imagine it's ever since then he's been pretty lax with the no builds.
I remember when that map came out, and my only complaint was that I couldn't build on the roof of the center control point.
Yep, the little roofs at mid. Yep, exactly. Ever since then, he's been real lax on the no builds.
I just lit a rocket. Rockets explode!
If you guys know anything about me, it's that I really don't like 5CP as a game mode, and with some exceptions, kind of like Cold Front, I really dislike it as a whole, and find it to be one of the least fun ways to play TF2 in general. Which is why I'm really happy to say I had a lot of fun with Canaveral. While the choke points on last can be really choky, and I've had my fair share of stalemates, trust me.
Go, sentries down, sentries down.
It's still a mostly fun take on 5CP, and I'm excited to get more colorful, bright maps like this in the game. And yes, I think the rocket launch when you finally win is very badass.
All right, boys, pack up the dough and get out of there.
Embargo is easily one of the most ambitious, creative, and lovingly crafted maps we've gotten in a long while. One of the few maps I can think of that actively tell a story through gameplay. I'd like to get more things like that. While I could go on and on about its careful planning, the story behind making the map, the small details that most people probably would overlook when creating this map, while I could do all that, I'm just lucky enough to be great pals with Embargo's main creator, so please give a warm welcome to Hopkins!
Hello, my name is Hopkins. I am the current main director of the Tropic Crisis project and the creator of Embargo.
This update has been full of maps that I believe were taken straight from the Tropic Crisis update, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, 3 of them, actually. Like, we were very lucky enough to Valve to consider, like, at least part of the Tropic Crisis project. Like, we weren't expecting that at all.
Well, it must have been a really pleasant surprise when you got that email from Eric Smith.
We got, I think, 2 emails at first. One related to maps and one related to a certain cosmetic. So it was very, it was very surprising. Valve was actually very open into like looking into the stuff, all this like community project we did.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that everything went so smoothly. I've got a couple questions here that I'm sure people are dying to get answered, considering I came up with them myself. I'm going to be asking you stuff all about the map and what it means to make maps for you. So, when did you first get involved with like making maps in general? I know you've made other maps before. You've made maps like El Salvador, Patagonia, Valor. You've even made a couple war paints, I believe, right?
Yeah. I started in my mapping career with trade plaza maps, mostly in my mapping career. I started taking very serious 2 years ago, and my first ever good lifting map that I consider a success in my workshop posting was Valor. That map was like trying to introduce a new style of like Europe without actually like making something look very monotone or like trying to construct something more unique for the game. So always you're gonna see my maps like trying to do something like advancing towards like this new environmental work for TF2. So most of the things sometimes experimental or others like a very finalized project.
Well, I'd say that's good to hear. Variety is always good. You can only play in the same 5 or 10 maps every so often before you get sick of them. You want to change of scenery. How is the process of coming up with the aesthetics and decorations of the maps?
The aesthetics and the construction of the maps is very complex when it comes to these type of like colonial buildings, what we call. Because these buildings, if we see like Cuban buildings in real life, they're very complex in the detailing and in the color. They're very saturated. So if I kept the colors, for example, non-saturated, it wouldn't be recognizable as the Cuban location. And if I didn't add like probably a bit of ornaments on the buildings, it would still be very like bland to point it out. This is why like normal TF2 managed to catch, because the detailing usually is on the texture. The point about Cuban buildings, the detailing is more on the ornaments, and it's really hard to adapt these ornaments only on texture. So when we wanted to study how much we put on detail. So we made the calculations of like how we can put like a lot of details and at the same time not make very noisy for the game. It was very complex on the Cuban part. The casino one was mostly based around the other brutalism construction. Like building the casino part was very like using reference to brutalist images. Galleria, for example, another map that I used a lot of reference from it. And kind of using the movie Casino. The Casino, I think, is a movie from '65, if I'm not mistaken, as a reference like on the office parts and around it. And the last point, I basically went full James Bond. on the idea. So yeah, it was like James Bond and basically The Incredibles, what I was looking for reference to it. So it's like putting lava walls everywhere, laboratory hidden in the parts. On Red Spawn, you can see that giant room with triangles being used as the main shape. So every part of the map is like following an aesthetic like this.
I'm glad you mentioned the lava wall, because I was actually about to bring that up. I loved the lava wall. It was a really nice...
Homer's Odyssey. Is this about that minivan I rented once?
Odyssey is a Greek-themed payload map that is very downward in design, kind of the opposite of upward in that regard, which I think you can perceive through gameplay. The downward map design is actually a subtle reference to Blue's chances of winning being a constant, never-ending downward spiral, because once you actually get to the first point, it is bizarrely difficult to gain any kind of momentum. It's pretty easy for Red to just bunker down and hold their ground up until the end, which then becomes an attack-defend map with Blue having to capture last and actually blow up the cart. While this map was made with soldiers in mind, I think you can tell, engineers are very powerful on this map, take it from me. Though I won't discredit this map's design just for that, because I feel like you can say pretty much the same for every payload map. I'll need some more time to say whether or not I really like it, but hey, it's not bad. Hi, this is Waylon from the future, and in the long-ass time it's taken me to actually make this video, I actually got to play Odyssey more often to get more footage, and I don't think I like it very much. It's probably the only map in this whole update I don't really have any fun playing on, so, take that for what you will. I feel kind of rotten for saying this, but I think we have our one and only major stinker. Here we have a CP Steel-like map that takes cues from Junction, a sentence that is sure to make anyone approach with caution. It's a very small map, and you'll often have very small games. Unlike Steel, where rushing last is mostly just the meme strat and only accessible to jumping classes due to the giant pit, Hadal's actual most effective strategy is just a rush last. There's no big pit to overcome, the point is wide open and small so even a heavy can cap, and what really boggles my mind the most is that the point actually becomes harder to cap as the game progresses, with the final point rising higher and higher, so the dominant strategy is actually to ignore the other points and go straight for last, because why make it harder to win? The only advantage you could possibly get by capping the first 3 points is just to put more time on the clock. I really feel like the situation should be reversed. The point should start higher and then lower itself as the map progresses and the more points you cap. I'll leave you with my live reaction from my live streams.
That's just how it feels to play Spy, I guess. We win already? That's it? Okay, you're gonna have a map, and I like CP Steel, but you're gonna have a map that is completely indoors, and here's the last cap point? Just like available, just like that, like, and it's not even like guarded. At least the last point in Steel, there's a big pit that you can't get into. Any motherfucker can just wander around, find it, and cap. This sucks. I do not want to be on red team and have to deal with that shit. That seems like it would be so obnoxious. Like, they're like, okay, point A, that's fine, it's right there. But having the last point just around the corner with nothing guarding it, no walls that, okay, like you're not even gonna have like a pit or like walls that go down the more points you cap. It's just sitting there. Like, are you kidding me? No one mentioned that during playtesting that, hey, this is really broken? Really? Fuck, anyway. Yeah, that was your guys' reaction when you played it? That's yeah. That's how I fucking feel. Yeah, see, look. Here they come running. Yeah, sorry, Johnny come lately. We're gonna win. This is sad. This is, like, pathetic, man. It should not be that easy. It really shouldn't be that easy, man. Oh, my God. Oh my god, how did no one playtest this? That's crazy. See, now everyone is going to defend this point instead of point A.
CP Overgrown RC1.
Overgrown. I've been playing this map for years, made by the ever-talented, Mohawk-loving UEK Crash. We got an attack defend map that has been overdue for far too long at this point. It's got everything I love from attack defense. Plenty of flank routes, open space, though it might be a little too spacious if that makes sense. I feel like there's plenty of empty areas where nothing really happens. Like for instance, this bar near last, that is just totally empty, but engineers can still sneak build behind the counter and flank up to the high ground? I think snipers may have too much domain, but I'll leave that to a little more playtesting. There's always room for improvement, even though I think Red can have a serious advantage due to the immense amount of high ground they have. But like I said, I'll leave that up to playtesting. This map's in development for that long, I think there's always room for some improvement. Lastly, we have our second ever medieval map added to the game. It's a 3-stage attack defense map that has blue seizing control over the fields, a town, and eventually the castle itself. It's about as fun as medieval mode can be, so unless you're the one character in the game with a dedicated melee subclass, your mileage will vary. A big compliment I can give is how small and focused the map is. To Groot Keep, let's be honest, it sucks, because you have blue team divided to try to cap 2 points that nobody cares about, while red just hides in their castle waiting to fight, or has to jump out of the castle out in the open to defend, and there's no health on the map anywhere. And then you have the final brawl, which is just a clusterfuck of melee hit registration over this small point, and it usually isn't really fun. Medieval mode players don't care about capping the points. They just want to get to the fun and have a massive DM fest. They want to jump straight to the fighting. So, cutting all that in half, having 1 point, and then putting that point where the fighting will naturally occur, it's a very smart move. Blue will come to red anyways because they want to fight. Red will stay put on the point because they want to defend, but they also want to fight. Everyone will get to fight. So the map makers put the objective where the fun is. Thus, they have subtly influenced the attacking team to actually push the objective. Standing on the point is boring, nobody wants to do that. But the fighting sure is. Props to you, Bergenhausen.
The end.
I like all the maps that were added. It's probably the most consistently good batch of maps we've gotten in years. There's only the one major outlier, and even then, Hadal can just be patched to have its most glaring problem fixed. I had a ton of fun playing. First impressions are kind around the board. Sure, it's not as big as last year, we didn't get a brand new game mode, and we also didn't get any new versus Sexton Hale specific maps, even though Lizard of Oz has already made like 4 of them. I think the one thing that could really tie this together for these holiday-sized updates to quote-unquote earn the respect of the community is to just give them a little flair, man. Give them a blog post, give them a small update page, or even just something minor, like include some contracts or something. Score X amount of points on this map. Defend or cap X amount of Y objective. Keep them basic, non-specific, otherwise we'll just end up with a Scream Fortress situation where every single contract is map-centered, which just leads to tryhards that will flood a map and then abandon the server just so they can get their reward. I think if we did get summer contracts, they should probably just give you war paints or something, kind of like what Jungle Inferno did, instead of items. That would probably be the best bet. Because, think about it, there's hundreds of untradeable Halloween cosmetics that are all restricted anyway, and we're not going to get any summer restricted cosmetics or items or anything like that anytime soon. So some untradeable war paints would make for a good compromise. Or hey, maybe they could give you untradeable versions of previously discontinued items. Bring back the summer shades, the summer hat, flip-flops, towering pillar of summer shades. Bring back the summer claim checks, the summer coolers, the summer adventure packs. You get the idea. Honestly, as much as I love getting lots of quality maps, I think something like that would just be the extra icing on the cake, the sprinkles on my cupcake, the heavy with the overheal. You know, if Halloween can get it, why can't summer? It would just be a really nice bonus. That's all. Oh, and the cosmetics and the taunts were really cool. Happy MF Doom is in the game. Anyway, thanks for watching to the end of this video, and thanks for watching in general. I wanted to have this video out by July 31st, but real-life things continuously got in the way. I worked 3 jobs, I had to house sit for family, I wanted to interview map makers, blah blah blah, who cares? What's important is that the video is now out, even though I explicitly didn't want a repeat of last year where my video was so late that the summer update was old news at that point. Anyway, happy summer. I'll see you guys in December for my Halloween video. Goodbye.